Welcome back to the channel, Bridging the Gap, Student to Engineer. This video is a new series where we're going to do some deep dives into some disciplines. We've done a number of videos on specific schools, but this is really about specific engineering disciplines and whether or not the discipline makes sense for you. So this is the first one. This one is based on a request, and it's a discipline deep dive into biomedical engineering. So let's get started. So biomedical engineers identify, formulate, and solve complex engineering problems by applying principles of engineering, science, and math. That is the general statement for engineers. Whether you're a civil or a biomedical or a mechanical, you're going to be doing this in general. But specifically, biomedical engineers design solutions to problems at the interface of biology, medicine, and engineering. So if you're interested in something like that, this might be a good discipline for you. Engineers in this discipline advance human health, engineer better medicine, harness the power of biological processes. Some of these things are what you might think of as someone who's in biology or in medical research, but engineers are really the ones that typically will take the learning that science has done from research about the state of the world and use that information to come up with new things. So like engineering better medicines is something that an engineer might focus on more so than somebody who's in the sciences, although there's a lot of interlap. So biomedical engineers design tools and devices to aid medical care. Think about things like prosthetics and those kind of things are definitely in this area, and improve the process of healthcare delivery. So we might understand, a new chemical that needs to be or that can treat a disease, but how do we get that in the body to target a specific area of the body, and those kind of things are the types of things that biomedical engineers could do. So the career outlook, this information is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is US centric. The 2023 median pay is $100,000 or a little bit more than that. And then typical entry-level education, bachelor's, you will see this on just about or all engineering disciplines that I know of. Need a bachelor's, which is one reason that makes engineering so attractive, is that you can get a really good paying job with just a bachelor's degree. So the number of jobs in 2023, 19,700. The more interesting piece of this is the job outlook, and what they're doing is looking for the next 10 years. I know this data is a year old, but this is what we have. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that biomedical engineering will grow at a 7% rate, which is faster than average. What this indicates is that it may be a good growing field and provide good opportunities for new grads. So the employment change, and that's really just looking at what that 7% means, 1,500 new jobs. All right, so industry organizations. I talk about industry organizations in some of my videos related to getting scholarships, paying for jobs, finding jobs, those types of things. And knowing what industry organizations are in a discipline are important because they provide you a link as a student, or even as a prospective student, they provide you a link to professionals in that discipline. So they're good sources for not only jobs, but also scholarships. And if you want more information about that, I'll provide the link to a video here where we talk about the industry organizations, or what you might want to do with industry organizations. So for biomedical engineering, there are quite a number of them. So Biomedical Engineering Society and the American Institute of Medical and Biological Engineering. Those first two are specifically biomedical, biological engineering. And then the next two are societies within large other organizations. So the first one is IEEE, as it's affectionately called, and that's focused on electrical engineering. And then the American Institute of Chemical Engineers. What this shows you, just as a little piece, is that there is a lot of overlap between disciplines. So if you are interested in biomedical and you are not able to major in that, you might look at electrical or chemical and see if you can major in electrical or chemical and maybe focus on biology or biomedical within that. But these organizations will connect you with that kind of information and also connect you with professionals. Okay, so schools. I went to the ABET website. The ABET website's the easiest place to find schools within a certain discipline. It doesn't mean that you can't go to other schools, but the ABET website and telling you who's accredited with a specific discipline is a very quick and easy way. In this case, there's over 150 accredited ABET programs that are biomedical, biological, those types of degree or those types of disciplines. So this list here is just partial. It is a lot. I won't go through it, but just the idea that there are lots and lots of places you can go to get this as a basis is really what I want to show here. And then as we go into the next piece, I focus a lot on outcomes as a practicing engineer who's been hiring interns and new grads for well over 15 years. I really believe that the outcomes for students who are graduating is the best way to tell what school might be good for you or success at the school. So rankings and those kind of things, they're interesting, but to me, if a school is highly ranked and doesn't place their grads, then I'm not sure what the ranking does for you. So in this table, I picked a sample of schools that have biomedical engineering. This sample is not based on anything except that these schools give details. There are a number of schools that don't let you drill down into the discipline itself. All these schools have the data. So I'll go through this and talk about each of these areas, but just keep in mind, this is really just trying to show how the discipline as a whole performs when you look across schools. So let's just start with a list of schools. You'll notice there's a note on University of Kentucky that includes biomedical, biopharmaceutical, and biosystems engineering. They have several different majors. So something to look at if you are interested in Kentucky. So we're looking at Kentucky, Purdue, Ohio, Georgia Tech, and UT Knoxville. Again, just chosen because they're the ones that provide information. So if we look at the number of grads in each of these majors or each of these schools, they're not huge. None of them you're going to go to a school and end up with 200 people who are majoring in biomedical engineering. That can be good, that can be bad, but I think the smaller the program is, the more specialized attention you're going to get from the professors in that specific discipline, but also the larger it is, the more likely companies are going to be coming and recruiting there, and that's really what you want. But the company recruiting there is so that you can have a positive outcome, so we'll get to that in a little bit. I provided the percent of total engineering because I want to demonstrate that biomedical engineering for the most part is small compared to the size of engineering schools within a university. So we have 4%, 3.5. Georgia Tech has 12%, so that's a significant contributor to the number of engineers they have in their engineering program. And then UT Knoxville, 9%. Still kind of small, but you know, about 1 in 10 of the engineering students are going to be graduating with biomedical. Okay, so the next column is really what I look at is the percent grads with positive outcomes. Positive outcomes are considered students who are employed or continuing their education or by choice doing something like volunteering, missionary work, those types of things after graduation, typically measured within 6 months. Um, so the numbers here it's quite the range, 71% to 98%. What I noticed in a lot of the research I've done is that these percents somewhat follow the overall positive outcomes for that school. Purdue pretty consistently has a 98, 99% positive outcome rate for all of their engineering disciplines. Georgia Tech is closer to 70 on a number of their engineering disciplines. Um, so they somewhat reflect what I want to demonstrate here is that while some people say just go pick any school with an ABET accreditation, that isn't necessarily the case. Yes, you can say, I'm a stellar student, I'm a strong performer. I'm of course going to be within that 71% of Georgia Tech students who get a job right away. You can make those assumptions, but I strongly suggest that you look at schools that have the higher positive outcome rates, so that you don't have to worry or make sure that you're in that top percentage who are going to be successful afterwards. Um, if you go to Purdue and major in biomedical engineering and you graduate, you're pretty much certain to get a job or grad school immediately out. Okay, so percent of grads employed. Um, so this also is an interesting mix. If you look at engineering as a whole, what you're going to see is that typically a higher percent of grads are employed when they graduate. Biomedical tends to have a lot more grads that go to grad school. I think this can be explained somewhat in that biomedical engineering is a really good foundation for medical school and other um, types of jobs where a grad program or a professional program is required. That's in the medical field. So that is something to note when you're looking at biomedical engineering is you don't necessarily have to go get a graduate degree. You don't have to go to a professional program afterwards. There's still about half of the grads are going directly into a job, but it is a good foundation for those other professional programs. Okay, and then the median starting salary, this ranges from 70 to 80. That's about typical. It's a little bit low as an overall comparison from other disciplines. Not like strikingly low that I would just look at it and go, wow, that's a huge difference. But still a really good number. Getting right out of school and making $70,000 to $80,000 is absolutely not anything to be disappointed with. Okay, and then percent grads continuing in their education. This is really where we talk about the people going to grad school or professional school. These are people who are going on continuing their education within 6 months of graduation. So these are higher numbers than other disciplines. You will notice that like the University of Kentucky and University of Knoxville, Tennessee definitely have more people going directly into the workforce than some of the other schools. So if that's something that you absolutely know that you want to just get your bachelor's and get out, that's something to look at in the schools that you're considering. Nothing is impossible. It's just that the more people who are doing it around you, the more support there's going to be for people along the path that you want to take. Okay, so this is a good just overall picture of the outcomes within biomedical engineering. As you can see, just in general, schools vary. So if you are looking at other schools, see if you can find this data. Or if you need help looking for the data, let me know and we'll see if we can make a video about it, or at least reply to you with the information. Okay, so in the schools that that I was able to find data about, some of them list the first employers that students are going to, and some list the job titles. So I'm going to share those in this slide and the next, so you can get an idea. Also, a good link when you're looking at these first employers, if you look at this list and you go, oh, that sounds interesting, or I don't know what that company is, I want to go find out what they do, definitely go do research on these employers and others. But if there's something that's of interest to you, I also have a video that I've made about using LinkedIn to find out more about the people who work at these companies. You can find out where they went to school, what they majored in, those kind of things. So I'll share that here. But the first employers for biomedical engineers, and I put these in order as best as I could of how common it was for grads to go to these things. But Epic Systems, they provide healthcare software. So that's an interesting thing that you might get into. Deloitte, definitely not a biomedical company, not an engineering company, but a degree in biomedical engineering can lead you into consulting. And so that's something to consider. Just in general, whatever engineering degree you get, it's possible that you'll get to the end of it and say, I don't want to do this specific engineering, or I'm not sure about engineering in general. There are pathways to other things, like Deloitte. Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson are consumer products, and they're going to be looking for a lot of chemical and biomedical. So take a look at these. Take a look at the link for the video about using LinkedIn, and see what kind of companies that you might be able to go into. Okay, and then first job titles, I'm going to just put all these out here. What I noticed when I was looking at job titles for biomedical is these all make sense to me. If you're going to go into biomedical engineering, you might be helping with the manufacturer of pharmaceuticals or something related to biomedical. Chemical engineer, so you've got a title that doesn't match your degree, but that doesn't really matter because there is so much overlap between different disciplines. But you can see where there is a direct link between chemical and biomedical. Or you might be working in a lab as either a project coordinator or research assistant. Those are things that you could very well do while you're in grad school, but you could also get full-time jobs doing them right out of school. Then process engineer is very much aligned with chemical engineering and biomedical. They understand processes a lot because that's a lot of what's important to learn as you go through these programs. So that one also makes sense to me. But just a sample of job titles. One thing I want to note is that other disciplines I've looked at don't necessarily have job titles that directly relate to the major. So it's good to see that a lot of grads are going into something that directly relates to what they've majored in. Okay, so resources. There are, I provided 2 resources here. I will provide the links in the comments. There is an online source for classes that you can audit any class you want, or you can pay for them and get credit. But one of those is sponsored by UC San Diego, and it talks about biomedical engineering. So that's something to consider. Again, I'll put it in the comments. And then engineering expectations is a really good program that is put together by an engineer who wanted to help potential engineers look at different options within engineering. So there is one, there's an article that they published about biomedical engineering. All right, so that's it for biomedical engineering. Thank you for listening to the end, and like, subscribe, share with your friends, and we will see you on the next one.